Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? How y'all doing? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC, see what's coming at you. And today is our Week 10 recap. Man, we have started Separation Saturday, and I'm gonna call the day SmackDown Saturday because most teams got beat down today. There weren't very many close games this weekend, so mostly were all beat downs in one form or fashion. So you get that sometimes. But before we get started with the show, man, y'all make sure y'all check out the socials. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76. Upcoming show schedule. Tuesday is our HBCU Top 10 and our point spread show. Wednesday, our week 11 preview. Thursday, SWAC Smoke Live, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And Sunday is our week 11 recap. So we got a full week of everything. I'm trying to find a place to work in a basketball show. I might do a preview on Monday next week, not this coming Monday, but the next Monday. Because basketball actually starts like this week, but I'm probably gonna go ahead and throw one in a week or two before we get too deep into it. But not only that, but man, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. We're over 1,100 subscribers, so thank y'all very much. Like the video, share it. Feel free to comment. And if you would like to become a member of the show, you get the join button. If you would like to just support the show and keep the show running smoothly, you can hit the Cash App, $SWAC Talk. Everything will be much appreciated. Also, one last bit of housekeeping note, as you probably know by now, if you don't, then you will now. I do have another video up today explaining my thoughts on what needs to happen with Southern football. I didn't want to say all of that here because I didn't want to take away from the recap show, and I didn't want to take away from the effort that Alcorn put on in that game on Saturday. So I got a separate video for that if you want to check that out. Link will be in the description, and it also be on the page. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. So let's go ahead and get started, man, on this SmackDown Saturday. We actually had a game on Thursday. We was calling that the Down Bad Bowl. It was between Bethune-Cookman and Valley, two teams who battling it out for the bottom. And it basically turned out to be that kind of game. Not a great game, not a blowout really, or it was a two score game, but just kind of what you would expect from these two teams. Bethune-Cookman wins this game 20-7. They rolled a 17-point first half to this victory. They got a 41-yard pass to open up the scoring from Makari Shaw to Tink Boyd to put the Wildcats up 7-0. That came with 7:23 left in the first quarter. Tink Boyd would catch his second touchdown of the game with an 8-yard pass from Talik Bethea with 14:12 left in the second quarter. Bethune-Cookman led 14-0 after the extra point. 3:36 left in the first half. Cade Hector would kick a 20-yard field goal for the Wildcats. That would make the score 17-0, which would be our halftime score. Valley would get on the board when Jared Wilson would get a 1-yard run. That would cap a 9-play, 60-yard drive. Extra point good, 17-7. And then with 43 seconds left in the third quarter, Cade Hector would kick a 21-yard field goal for Bethune-Cookman to make the score 20-7, and that would be our final score. Valley, 24 first downs on the night, Bethune-Cookman 15. Valley, 98 yards rushing on 46 carries, 2.1 yards per carry with 1 touchdown. Bethune-Cookman, 115 yards on the ground on 30 carries, 3.8 yards per carry, no touchdowns. Valley, 296 through the air, 17 of 30, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bethune-Cookman, 177 yards through the air, 13 of 19, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 394 total offense for Valley, 76 plays, 5.2 yards per play. They fumbled twice, lost one. They had 9 penalties for 70 yards. Bethune-Cookman, 292 total offense, 49 plays, 6 yards per play. They had 1 fumble and lost it. They had 4 penalties for 50 yards. Valley, 35-yard average per punt. Bethune-Cookman, 39. Valley, 37 minutes and 5-second time of possession. 5 of 14 on third down, 2 or 3 on fourth down. They had 1 sack. They were 1 for 5 in the red zone. They had no sacks. They were 1 for 1 on extra points, and they missed 3 field goals. So this game was for Valley to win. If you look at the numbers, Valley had more time of possession. They had more yardage. They converted more third downs than Bethune-Cookman. They converted more fourth downs. They missed 3 field goals and blew 4 opportunities in the red zone, along with 3 turnovers. So this was Valley's game to win. They just dropped it. Bethune-Cookman, 22 minutes and 55-second time possession. 0 of 9 on third down. Didn't attempt the fourth down. They were 3 or 4 in the red zone. They had 4 sacks. They were 2 for 2 on field goals, and they were 2 for 3 on 2 for 2 extra points and 2 for 3 on field goals. So it's kind of a sloppy game for both teams, kind of what you expected. Not so much for Valley to really, show out yardage wise, but they got a good effort from Jaden Sisk. He was 9 of 16 for 174 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, no sacks. Tajarian Williams, 7 of 13, 63 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. Jacoby Thomas, 1 for 59 yards. Talik Bethea, 12 of 18 for Bethune-Cookman, 136 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was not sacked. Makari Shaw, 1 for 41 yards and a touchdown. Jared Wilson led Valley with 14 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. DeFabian Fant, 9 for 40. Jimmy Robinson led Bethune-Cookman with 19 carries for 61 yards. Bethea, 4 for 34. Jackson Davis led Valley with 5 catches for 92 yards. Anthony Blakely, 1 for 59. Tink Boyd led Bethune-Cookman with 4 catches for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dakari Allen Johnson, 3 for 37. Valley was led in tackles by Omar Emons with 9. Lucas Banks had 1.5 tackles for loss. They had no sacks. Interception, none. Bethune-Cookman was led by De'Aris Thomas with 11 tackles. Adrian Hall and Jeremy Greaves had 1.5 tackles for loss apiece. Hall had 1.5 sacks to lead the defense. Marie Jones had a forced fumble. Ebenezer Dabula had a fumble recovery. Interceptions went to Darnell Dees and Amari Hill Robinson. So, this was one of those kind of games, man. Like you kind of expect a little bit of everything when these two types of teams play each other. And you kind of got that. Valley played a good offensive game, probably one of their best offensive games of the season, but turnovers and poor execution in the red zone cost them in this game. So Bethune-Cookman picks up their first conference victory. And, they now are tied with Valley for that last spot. So there are no there's only one winless team in conference play left, and that would be a team that we're going to talk about next. And that's the Pine Bluff Golden Lions. They went to Prairie View to take on the Panthers. It was homecoming in Prairie View, and the Panthers picked up a 38-14 victory, keeping UAPB winless in conference play. Prairie View jumped out to a 24-0 halftime lead and basically cruised through this game. Trezon Connolly got a 14-yard run for Prairie View to open up the scoring with 12:03 left in the first. Extra point good, 7-0. Trajan Spiller, a 42-yard pass from Connolly. Extra point good, 14-0. That came with 3:02 left in the first. 14:43 left in the second quarter. Carlos Villa-Gomez, 41-yard field goal for the Panthers, 17-0. 9:18 left in the second quarter. DeJuan Lewis, 52-yard pick six, 24-0. That will be our halftime score. Pine Bluff will get on the board with 9:50 left in the third quarter as Makai Higgins would run a 20-yard touchdown run, extra point good, 24-7. David Murray would get the Panthers back on the board with a 1-yard run with 1:56 left in the third extra point good, 31-7. Johnny Williams would run a 12-yard run for Pine Bluff with 14:53 left in the game. Extra point good, 31-14. And then Murray would get his second touchdown with a 3-yard run with 9:34 left in the game. Extra point good. Prairie View wins 38-14. Pine Bluff 9 first downs. Prairie View 22. 145 yards on the ground for the Golden Lions. 37 carries, 3.9 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. 189 for Prairie View on the ground. 41 carries, 4.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Whew, this is a number I've never seen or heard in my life. 1 yard passing for Pine Bluff. They were 4 for 12 with no touchdowns and 1 interception. 1 yard passing. That is amazing. 305 through the air for the Panthers. 18 of 29 for them. No interceptions, 1 touchdown. 146 yards of offense for the Golden Lions on 49 plays. They averaged 3 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. They had 3 penalties for 15 yards, so no penalties for them. At least something to look at. 494 for the Panthers. 70 plays, 7.1 yard per play. No fumbles. They had 9 penalties for 80 yards. Pine Bluff averaged 39.8 yards per punt, Prairie View 44. 26 minutes and 19 seconds time of possession for the Golden Lions. They were 4 for 12 on 3rd down. They didn't attempt the 4th down. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone. No sacks. They were 2 for 2 on extra points. Didn't attempt a field goal. Prairie View was 5 of 12 on 3rd down. 0 for 2 on 4th down. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks. They were 5 of 5 on extra points and 1 for 2 on field goals. Makai Higgins 1 for 4 for 5 yards for Pine Bluff. He was sacked once. Chancellor Edwards 3 of 8 for -4 yards. 1 interception. Man, that's rough. Trezon Connolly 18 of 29, 305 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, no sacks. Johnny Williams led Pine Bluff with 22 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. Higgins 7 for 40 and a touchdown. Jamarius Brooks led Prairie View with 14 carries for 84 yards. Trezon Connolly 8 for 46 and a touchdown. Jewel Fletcher led Pine Bluff with 1 catch for 6 yards. Shamar Savage led Prairie View with 8 catches for 136 yards. Chris Heron 3 for 54. Rico Dozier led the Golden Lions with 12 tackles. He also had 1 tackle for loss along with Donovan Collins. No sacks, no forced fumbles, no interceptions. Prairie View was led by Braylon Perry with 5 tackles. Tariq Mulmore also had 5 tackles, and Travion Green. And Warren Schenkel had 5 tackles. Green had 4. Schenkel had 3 tackles for loss to lead the team. He also had 1 sack. David Farrell had Davir Farrell had a sack as well. Interception went to DeJuan Lewis, which was a pick 6. So, man, this Pine Bluff team, man, it seems like they cannot get out of their own way as things go. They continue to go wrong for them. This has to be the worst game they played all season. That 1 passing yard is just something that I just can't wrap my head around. But they dropped the game. Prairie View picks up a homecoming victory, and they keep the slim hopes of the West Division Championship alive with that victory. Florida A&M defeats Alabama A&M by a score of 42-28. This was a very interesting game for a while, man. FAMU jumped out to a 17-0 lead before Alabama A&M pulled to within 17-14. Would actually go up 21-17 before the Rattlers would take a 24-21 lead into the half. And then they would outscore Alabama A&M by a score of 18-7 to basically put this game away. So Marcus Riley caught a 49-yard pass from Jeremy Musa with 12:25 left in the first quarter. Extra point good, 7-0. Cameron Gillis will get a 32-yard field goal for the Rattlers with 9:53 left in the first to go up 10-0. Lovey Jenkins would get a 24-yard punt return, 17-0. And then we'll get on the board with 5:02 left in the first when LeVar Gums will catch a 9-yard pass from Quincy Casey. Extra point good, 17-7. Jacoby Hewitt will catch a 43-yard pass from Quincy Casey. Extra point good, 17-14. That came with 4:16 left in the first quarter. A&M would get their third consecutive touchdown when Ryan Morrow ran an 8-yard run with 8:20 left in the first half. Extra point good, 21-17. Kelvin Dean would get the Rattlers back on the board with 6:31 left in the second quarter with a 4-yard run, extra point good, 24-21. 11:01 left in the third quarter. Cameron Gillis, 23-yard field goal for the Rattlers, 27-21. With 56 seconds left in the third quarter, Yaquez Yant will get a 1-yard run, 35-21. Kareem Burke would get the Rattlers on the board again with a 26-yard run, 14:48 left in the fourth, extra point good, 42-21. Then Donovan Eaglin would close out the scoring for the Bulldogs with 13:03 left in the fourth with a 4-yard run, extra point good, 42-28. So Alabama A&M really gave the Rattlers everything they wanted in that first half. They just couldn't keep pace in the second. 17 first downs for FAMU to 23 for Alabama A&M. 103 yards rushing for the Rattlers. 36 carries, 2.9 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 58 yards rushing for the Bulldogs, 36 carries, 1.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. 245 through the air for the Rattlers, 14 of 27, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 281 for the Bulldogs, 20 of 39, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 348 yards for the Rattlers, 63 plays, 5.5 yards per play. They fumbled once, didn't lose it. They had 12 penalties for 106 yards. Alabama A&M, 339, 75 plays, 4.5 yards per play. 3 fumbles, they lost 1. 6 penalties for 46 yards. 47.4 yard average for the Rattlers on punts. 40-yard average for the Bulldogs on punts. 31 minutes, 21 second time of possession for the Rattlers. 4 of 14 on third down. 1 for 1 on fourth down. 4 of 4 in the red zone. They had 6 sacks. They were 4 for 4 on extra points and 2 for 2 on field goals. 28-39 for the Bulldogs time of possession. 3 of 13 on third down. 1 of 5 on fourth down. 3 of 4 in the red zone. They had 3 sacks. They were 4 for 4 extra points and did not attempt the field goal. FAMU was led by Jeremy Musa, 14 of 27, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 3 sacks. Quincy Casey, 19 of 37, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 5 sacks. Xavier Langford, 1 for 2 for 1 yard, no interceptions, no touchdowns, 1 sack. Terrell Jennings led the Rattlers with 8 carries for 40 yards. Dean, 7 for 28 and a touchdown. Burke, 1 for 26 and a touchdown. Yant, 9 for 24 and a touchdown. Eaglin led the Bulldogs with 14 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Jeremiah Pruitt, 2 catches for 82 yards for the Rattlers. Marcus Riley, 3 for 71 and a touchdown. David Manigault, 3 for 55. Hewitt, 6 for 98 for the Bulldogs and a touchdown. Hambrick, 6 for 73. Young, 3 for 64. Lovey Jenkins, 9 tackles for the Rattlers to lead the team. Isaiah Major had 8. Dakar Edwards and Jenkins each had 2 tackles for loss. Sacks, Khalil Hunter had 1.5 to lead the team. Lovey Jenkins had a forced fumble. Wilson had a forced fumble. Recovery went to Johnny Chaney. Interception went to Javon Morgan. Bulldogs led by Xavier Billingsley with 10 tackles. Rashad Colson and Jamarion Ellis had 2 tackles for loss apiece. Colson had 2 sacks to lead the team. He also had a forced fumble. And interception went to Caleb Dawson. One thing I can say about Alabama A&M is since FAMU's been in the SWAC, they've been very competitive with the Rattlers, man. The last 2 times that the Rattlers needed like second half comebacks to win that game. But this game, they took the lead by the half and pulled away in the third. But Alabama A&M really hung tight with the Rattlers for a good portion of this game and made things really, really tough for FAMU. But FAMU was able to pull out the victory, and they pulled 1 game closer to an undefeated SWAC regular season as they make their march to the SWAC championship game. Really solid effort for Alabama A&M, though. For the first half especially, they made a good effort out there, and we'll see how they finish off their season. Jackson State defeats Texas Southern by a score of 21-19. Running up their record to 7-3, 5-2 overall, 5-2 in conference. TSU continues to have a rough season, man. This is another game that they had a chance to win, but could not get it done. They find themselves in a really bad spot. They are basically unable to have a winning record now, so they're just really looking at the opportunity to finish out strong and win a couple games before the season ends. Jacoby and Morgan gets Jackson State on the board first with 4:43 left in the first quarter with a 7-yard run, extra point good, 7-0. Seven McGee would catch a 3-yard pass from Morgan with 11:41 left in the second quarter, 14-0 after the extra point. Jaron Johnson would catch a 25-yard pass from Jace Wilson to get the Texas Southern Tigers on the board with 9:13 left in the second quarter, 14-7 after the extra point. And then with 29 seconds left in the first half, Jacoby and Morgan, 6-yard run, extra point good, 21-7. That will be our halftime score. Ja'Cory Howard will get the Tigers on the board. The Tigers will take Southern on the board with a 34-yard run with 3:40 left in the third. Extra point no good, 21-13. And then King Blanton will get a 20-yard pass from Wilson with 3 seconds left in the game. Conversion no good, 21-19. Jackson State got all their points in the first half. TSU got most of their points in the second half. Just could not get that last play that they needed to send this game into overtime. 19 first down for Texas Southern, 21 for Jackson State. 232 on the ground for TSU. Another big night on the ground, man. They continue to run the ball really well this season. 34 carries, 6.8 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Jackson State 118 yards on the ground, 38 carries, 3.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. 182 yards for Texas Southern through the air, 15 of 29, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jackson State 182 yards through the air as well, 25 of 34, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Another week where Texas Southern outgains their opponent and lose. 414 yards for the Tigers of TSU, 63 plays, 6.6 yards per play, no fumbles, 7 penalties for 76 yards. Jackson State 300 yards of offense, 72 plays, 4.2 yards per play. They fumbled once, didn't lose it. 6 penalties for 61 yards, 33.5 yard per punt average for the Tigers of Texas Southern, 45.6 for Jackson State. Texas Southern 24 minutes and 40-second time possession, 7 of 14 on third down, 2 of 3 on fourth down, 1 for 2 in the red zone. They had 4 sacks. They were 1 for 2 on extra points and 0 for 1 on field goals. Jackson State 35-20 time of possession, 7 of 15 on third down, 3 for 3 on fourth down, 3 of 3 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks. They were 3 of 3 on extra points and 0 for 1 on field goals. Individually, Jace Wilson 15 of 28 for 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. Jacoby and Morgan 25 of 34, 182 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, 4 sacks. Ladarius Owens 21 carries, 106 yards, no touchdown. Ja'Cory Howard 4 for 80 and a touchdown. J.D. Martin led Jackson State with 6 carries for 65 yards. Desmond Moultrie 14 for 57. Jaron Johnson 5 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown for TSU. Quay Davis 5 for 45. Kobe Paul led Jackson State with 4 catches for 60 yards. 7 McGee 5 for 43 and 1 touchdown. Fabian McCray 6 for 41. Jacob Williams 12 tackles for TSU. David Walker 3 tackles for loss to lead the team. Walker also had 2 sacks. Javius Williams had a forced fumble. Interceptions, none. Jackson State was led by Sayers Guthrie with 10 tackles. Khalil Arrington with 9. True Thompson and Devontae Davis each had a tackle for loss. They also both had 1 sack apiece. Interception went to Tim Stewart and True Thompson. So, like I said, TSU, the one thing, if you look at their season this season, is a lot of missed opportunities. They lost 3 games, really, in conference play by slim margins, by like 8 points. So, really, just really rough season for them, man. Just nothing's really went their way. And, it's kind of one of them things where you kind of want to move on. So, just didn't go the way that they wanted. This was a team who came in with a lot of hopes for a division championship and just could not, and a lot of misfortune, a lot of tough losses, and now they just gonna kind of look out on a way to finish out the string. Alabama State, really solid game against Grambling, man, especially defensively. 17-6 was the score for this game. Alabama State actually led this game 17-0 in the fourth quarter before Grambling would even get on the board, winning the Miles Crawley Bowl. Keyshawn Johnson, 19-yard pass from Damon Stewart, 7-0. That came with 8:58 left in the first quarter. Johnson would get a 3-yard pass from Stewart in the second quarter with 11:27 left in that quarter. Extra point good, 14-0. Baylor Cannon would kick a 34-yard field goal for Alabama State with 14:55 left in the game, 17-0. Nason Dickerson would catch an 18-yard pass from Miles Crawley. Extra point no good to put the Tigers on the board at 17-6, and that would be our game. 16 first downs for Grambling, 15 for Alabama State, 62 yards on the ground for the Tigers. Alabama State defense can completely shut down this Grambling run game. Only 18 rushing attempts. They didn't even really try to run the ball much. That's very curious to me. 3.4 yards per carry, no touchdowns. 167 yards on the ground for Alabama State, 41 carries, 4.1 yard per carry, no touchdowns. 197 through the air for Alabama State, for Grambling, 21-31, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 94 yards through the air for Alabama State, 13 of 17, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 259 yards of offense for Grambling, 49 plays, 5.3 yards per play, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble, and they lost to 10 penalties for 84 yards. 261 yards for the Hornets, 58 plays, 4.5 yards per play, average, no fumbles, 3 penalties for 30 yards. If you look at Grambling's offense this season, it's really kind of tailed off. I mean, they still have an explosive offense that can put points on the board, but this Alabama State defense really gave them a lot of problems, and they haven't really played to that level that they played when they had that 2 or 3 game winning streak in the middle of the season. So they definitely have some questions to answer and some things to look at moving forward. 40-yard punt average for Grambling, 33.5 for Alabama State. Grambling 24-39 time of possession, 2 of 8 on third down. They didn't attempt the fourth down. They were 1 for 2 in the red zone. They had no sacks. They were 0 for 1 on extra points, 0 for 1 on field goals. 35-21 time of possession for Alabama State, 7 of 15 on third down. They didn't attempt the fourth down. 3 of 4 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks. They had 2 for 2 on extra points and 1 for 2 on field goals. Grambling was led by Miles Crawley, 21-31, 197 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. Damon Stewart, 12 of 16 for 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Naqualet, 1 for 1 for -1 for the Hornets. Chance Williams, 12 for 57 on the ground. Floyd Chalk, 2 for 21. Marcus Harris led Alabama State with 18 carries for 75 yards. Shawan Hall, 11 for 40. Antonio Jones had 5 catches for 44 yards for Grambling. Tylon Williams, 3 for 42. Javon Robinson, 4 for 37. Keyshawn Johnson had 7 catches for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns for Alabama State. The rest of the team combined for 6 catches. So he is the offense. one way or the other, he is the offense. You know the ball coming to him, and it's still hard to stop it. Lewis Matthews, 9 tackles for Grambling. Grambling only had 2 tackles for loss in this game. Keyshawn Johnson and Andrew Jones each had a tackle for loss. No sacks, no forced fumbles, interceptions by Kevin Thomas. Alabama State was led by Adrian Maddox with 6 tackles. Bubba Adams and Kel Jackson and DeMarcus Cunningham each had 5. Thomas, Lightfoot, Maddox, Jackson, Cunningham each had a tackle for loss. Thomas and Lightfoot each had a sack. Interception went to Amon Scarborough. He had 2 sacks on the night. So just a really, this was Alabama State game. This is the kind of game you expect from them. Great defense, offense do just enough to get the points on the board and pull out the victory. And they made life extremely hard for Grambling, and now Grambling is sitting in a tough spot. Their hopes are basically dashed Even if some tiebreakers occur, they need some chaos really for some things to happen. So they were sitting right there in the thick, and really slumped at the wrong time, and finding themselves now on the outside looking in. Speaking of finding yourself on the outside looking in, there was a beat down on the reservation, man. The Braves really took it to Southern 44-21. This game was 24-7 after the first quarter. Southern actually scored first. And then Alcorn got a couple Southern turnovers, cashed them into points, put together a couple drives of their own, cashed them into points, and just made Southern have a really rough time, man. Southern turned the ball over a lot. Alcorn defense was really, really good. Offense had a great game plan. Aaron Allen was really solid. The run game was solid. Everything Alcorn did right, Southern did wrong. This was the kind of game that was a example of what Southern season is. And like I said before, I'm not going to talk about Southern a lot in this. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, check out my video that I made on Southern season so far. Link in the description. But Southern scored first when Kendrick Grimes had a 1-yard touchdown run. Came with 10:53 left in the first quarter. Noah Kiani would get the Braves on the board with a 34-yard field goal. That came with 6:08 left in the first, 7-3. Montario Hunt would catch a 35-yard pass from Aaron Allen. Extra point good. 3:11 left in the first, 10-7. Keenan Leachman, that's the name you want to remember. Keenan Leachman, 27-yard fumble scoop and score. Well, actually a strip and score. 17-7 after the extra point. That came with 2:54 left in the first quarter. Malik Rogers would get they call it, I guess it was like a touch pass, push pass, whatever you call it, from Aaron Allen, 24-7. I combine their names. 18 seconds left in the first quarter. Braves lead 24-7. Tavarius Griffin, 52-yard pass from Allen, with 10:09 left in the second quarter, 31-7. Chandler Whitfield will get Southern back on the board with a 38-yard pass from Harold Blood. Extra point good, 31-14. That came with 2:53 left in the first half. And then with no time left before halftime, Noah Kiani, 19-yard field goal for the Braves. Halftime score 34-14. They're missing a score here. Jack Alcorn had a pick six from Leachman that came in the third quarter to put Alcorn up 41-14 after the extra point. August Pete will get Southern back on the board with 13:56 left in the game, off of a 24-yard pass from Harold Blood, 41-21. And then Noah Kiani will kick a 37-yard field goal for the Braves to wrap up the game at 44-21. Southern 11 first downs, Alcorn 25, 69 yards on the ground for Southern, 25 carries, 2.8 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 176 yards on the ground for Alcorn, 39 carries, 4.5 yards per carry, no touchdown, 194 yards through the air for Southern, 12 of 24, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Alcorn 263 through the air, 19 of 30, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 263 yards of offense for Southern, 49 plays, 5.4 yards per play. Fumbled 3 times, lost 2. They had 9 penalties for 115 yards. Alcorn 439 yards of offense, 69 plays, 6.4 yards per play, 1 fumble, lost at 6 penalties, 57 yards. Southern averaged 47 yards per punt, Alcorn 26. Time of possession, Southern 22-43, 2 of 11 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down. 2 of 3 in the red zone. They had 1 sack, 3 for 3 on extra points, no field goals attempted. Alcorn 37-17 time of possession, 6 of 14 on third down, no fourth down attempts, 4 of 5 in the red zone. They had 5 sacks, 5 of 5 on extra points, and 3 of 3 on field goals. Individually, Harold Blood 12 of 23 for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 5 sacks. Dylan Marotra 0 for 1 for Southern. Aaron Allen, 19 of 30, 263 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. Kobe Dillon, 7 carries for 39 yards for Southern. Kendrick Grimes, 7 for 24 and a touchdown. Jarvion Howard, 18 for 128 for Alcorn, no touchdowns. Chandler Whitfield, 1 for 38 for Southern and a touchdown. George Qualls, 2 for 29. Tavares Griffin, 3 for 79 and 1 touchdown for the Braves. Hunt, 4 for 59 and a touchdown. Akeem McNair, 3 for 46. Horatio Johnson led Southern with 11 tackles. Givens, Roach, Tate, and Cotton each had a tackle for loss. Sack went to Tate. Interception was by Tate. Alcorn was led by Malachi Bailey with 6 tackles. Terrence Ellis with 5. Bailey, 4.5 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks. I mean, that's defensive player of the week numbers. He didn't have a lot of tackles, but he was very disruptive. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him win that award this week. Although this is the SWAC, so they could give it to somebody with 2 tackles and two tackles on a night because the SWAC do weird things. But I think Malachi Bailey should definitely be in the running for defensive player of the week. A big game for him. Forced fumble, Leachman, McDaniel, and Lou Fowl. Leachman had a fumble recovery that he returned for a touchdown. Scott had a fumble recovery, and Leachman had 2 interceptions, and Summerall had an interception. So, like I said, this was shaping up to be a solid game, but Alcorn took over the first quarter and put the game out of reach. Southern just could never get anything going, and now Alcorn is sitting in the driver's seat after weeks of teams, looking at the front door. Alcorn is now in the driver's seat in the West. We'll look at the standings in the West in a second, but right now FAMU leads the East. They're 7-0. They are the East champs. They're 7-0, 8-1 overall. They won 7 straight games. Jackson State 5-2, 73 overall. They've won 3 in a row. Alabama State 4-2, 5-3 overall. They've won 4 games in a row. They really have a good opportunity to finish with a really good record this season. So. Really, really good turnaround for them. Looked kind of shaky for a while, but they are winning with defense. Alabama A&M 2-4, 4-5 overall. They've lost 2 in a row. Bethune-Cookman 1-5, 2-7 overall. They've won 1. Valley 1-5, 1-8 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. Alcorn is 5-1, 6-3 overall. They've won 5 in a row. Southern 4-2, 5-4 overall. They've lost 1. Prairie View 4-2. 4-5 overall. They've won 1. Grambling 3-3, 4-5 overall. They've lost 1. Texas Southern 1-5, 2-7 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. And Pine Bluff is 0-6, 1-8 overall. They've lost 6 in a row. They have the longest losing streak in conference. Right now, Alcorn is in the driver's seat. If they win Saturday and Prairie View loses Saturday, which is not a sure thing, the Braves clinch the division. Because they hold a tiebreaker over Southern, who, if Southern was to beat Prairie View and beat Grambling, which who knows if that's going to happen, and Alcorn did happen to drop a game, they will win the tiebreaker over Southern. If Prairie View loses a game, Alcorn wins the division pretty much. So I saw a lot of confusion from people. Some people were saying Prairie View was in the lead in the West when they don't have the best record. I really want people to really understand how standings work. Head to head is not the only decider of a division championship. If you don't have the same record, then head to head means nothing in terms of standings. Head to head only means anything in cases of ties. So just because Prairie View beat Alcorn don't mean that Prairie View is in first place in the West. They still need help because they need Alcorn to lose 1 out of 2. So and they need to win out. So. Kind of brush up on scenarios, man, because it kind of looks funny to see people still at this portion of the season confused on how standings work. So right now, Alcorn is in the driver's seat at 5-1. They need to win out to really wrap this thing up, and everybody else needs help. So after all of that crazy stuff, the West is, it's not completely settled, but it's not. I don't think it's going to finish as crazy as a lot of us thought. And I thought, that a team would win this division with 2 or 3 losses, and right now it looks like the team gonna win it with 1. So, who knew? Looking at our Week 11 schedule before we get out of here, there's a Friday night game. Pine Bluff and Grambling play in Pine Bluff. There's an 8 o'clock kickoff on ESPNU. That's Central Time. That's really late. I want to make sure that's not. Make sure that's not the wrong time. But anyway, that's a Friday night game. We have games on every night of the week this weekend. So really full SWAC schedule as I find that time. But Saturday's games, Alabama A&M is at Bethune-Cookman. That's a 12 p.m. Eastern kick, 11 o'clock Central. That's HBCU Go game. That's at Bethune-Cookman. Prairie is at Southern. That's a 2 o'clock kick. Bama State is at Valley. That's also a 2 o'clock kick. Lincoln is at FAMU. That's a 5 o'clock kick. That game can be seen on Rattlers Plus. That Grambling game is an 8 p.m. kick. So, yes, 8 p.m. Central Time. So that's a late start for those two teams. Alcorn and Texas Southern play on Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, Sunday, November 12th. The Houston Dynamo have a playoff game on Saturday. So, of course, with TSU using that stadium, they had to move the game to Sunday. So, we have a Friday game, Saturday games, and Sunday game all this week. So, it wouldn't be the SWAC if it wasn't games all over the place. So Alcorn has a good chance to put themselves completely in the driver's seat with a win on Saturday, provided Prairie, helps them out with a loss. But that's going to do it for today's show, man. I thank y'all for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday with our HBCU Top 10 and Point Spread show. Wednesday, Week 11 preview. Thursday, SWAC Smoke, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And our Week 11 recap next Sunday. So with that being said, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC, C. Wells, signing out, and I'm going to catch you on the rebound. Peace.